Hi, I'm Shelley Weber-Tompkins, a licensed acupuncturist and certified functional medicine practitioner. And today I wanted to continue on the track of speaking of different things that cause pain with periods and that could also impact fertility. And so today I wanted to talk about fibroids, and not all fibroids are created equal as far as what causes pain. The first thing that I always think of with a fibroid that would cause pain is a pedunculated one. It looks more like kind of a mushroom stalk at the part that attaches to the either endometrium within inside the actual uterine wall of the musculature or on the outside, which is actually sharing space within the abdomen. And so they can actually attach in any one of those areas. But the ones that are pedunculated, it depends on their placement, could be anywhere too. But when there's torsion of them, like if there's something that is rubbing against it or things are moving inside muscular wise that causes it to twist, that's what causes pain with those. And so if you are having that kind of, sharp stabbing pain, or actually if you're trying to conceive in the first place, having testing where you make sure that with a sonogram, your uterus doesn't have those present. And so they can usually see it with that type of test. Other types of fibroids, though, that can still cause problems with fertility but not necessarily be painful are ones more in the submucosal space, a fibroid that's there that's sharing in the endometrium, that lining of the uterus. Usually it, depending on where it is within the uterus, it could block entry of the sperm getting in, it could block the sperm getting into the fallopian tubes to get to the egg, but it also can block implantation. And so that's another concern with having fibroids, especially bigger ones. Like if they're little 3-millimeter size, then they may not have impacted at all. But when they get larger and they can tend to grow, they can be estrogen sensitive, where anytime there's higher levels of estrogen present, then they can actually grow from that. So, it does pick up blood supply. And that's the other thing that is a problem with fibroids, is that they can be using some of the blood that would go towards a growing embryo. And so making sure that you don't have them in the first place. And if you do, there's different steps that can be taken to help get rid of them, actually remove them. And so laparoscopy is one way, especially if it's the smaller ones that could be taken care of. When they get larger, there can be more issues because you don't want to damage the uterus. That's why it's important that you're checking for them early on when you're having a sonogram, and any of those things that you haven't had done yet, as far as an HSG to check making sure your tubes are open, but also the sonogram to make sure everything's good with your uterus. The sooner you have those done, the better. Then you know what you're dealing with, and then you can actually take care of it at that point, which is really important. I mentioned ultrasounds, but there's also pelvic exams could potentially show something that, every once in a while, one of the pedunculated fibroids could actually be coming out through the cervix, causing pain with the sexual relations and stuff. And so you need to make sure that there's nothing there or present. MRIs are another test that could be done that will actually also show where the location is, what the size is, and give you more input, or the doctor more input on what he could do to take care of that. You can always use conventional medicine to address any of the problems there in the uterus as far as fibroids are concerned, or anything of that nature. But if you're wanting to do something more holistic with your approach, finding an acupuncturist near you, especially when they are very small fibroids with 3 millimeters or even a little bigger than that. But once they get over 2 centimeters in size, when they're bigger than that, they can be harder for acupuncture and even herbal medicine to shrink them enough to make a difference. But when they are smaller, then acupuncture can be really good for helping to regulate the hormones, help the blood circulation through there, and minimize the size of it. Herbal medicine is also very helpful for that, because that's a lot of times specializing in problems with menstrual irregularities and pain. So there's herbs that will be specific for that and regulation. Also doing vaginal steams, which may be new to you. There is herbs that are really good for helping to open things up. When I say open up, circulation and blood into an area to help with regulation in that way. And there are different herbs, herbal blends, depending on what other situations you have in place. They can be specialized formulations. And you're just sitting over a steaming pot that's very comfortable in temperature. And so it doesn't hurt, it actually feels quite nice. But that's another aspect. Castor oil packs products are another one that can be well received, usually putting it on the liver area. And the liver can, since it converts estrogens, and estrogens can be a causative factor for fibroid growth. And so regulating the liver is a really good idea. And it's very comforting. You just have castor oil, a good organic one, hexane free, that's on flannel, and you apply it over your liver area. You usually have a little cellophane over that, and then a towel and a hot water bottle to kind of help get that warmth in there and help open things up. But you can do the same thing also on your lower abdomen where it may be uncomfortable each month, or right before your period, or actually even during your period, where you're just trying to help that area relax and open up and allow things to move out. So that's another good option. Other things that can be done would be dietary changes that you could make, eating a lot more green vegetables. Also cruciferous are really good for helping with estrogen regulation. So that's your cauliflower, your broccoli, your cabbage, your Brussels sprouts, those types of vegetables, getting them in more often. More leafy greens too, which will get more folate, which is also really helpful. And then reducing red meat. And one thing I'd also stress with anybody is lowering any high mercury type of fish. And you can also check online and just look at lowest mercury fish, and then you'll know which ones to go for. Because whether you're trying to get pregnant or during pregnancy, you do want to lower any of those heavy metals. And so that's one I definitely would say check that one if you're a fish eater. And then even with chicken, making sure that's organic and grass-fed, so you're not getting in pesticides and other things that create more inflammation in the body, and getting some exercise in. And then stress reduction, which I talk about over and over again, is things for the vagus nerve regulation. So you're more in feed and breed mode instead of fight or flight. And those are your hard gargling, so you're getting the vagus nerve activated, that you're doing the singing or humming, guided meditation, playing, find activities that you find fun and enjoy. Some people love gardening or painting or dancing, find something that brings you some happiness. So those are all really good. And breathing exercises, of course, those are also great. So please stay tuned for more information. I'm going to continue talking about different things that are pain related that can impact fertility, and I'll see you soon.